Today we're going to take a look at the new Secret Lair Poker Face, which drops on May 13th as part of the Spring Super Drop. We haven't seen everything yet for the Super Drop, but this one is really cool from a design perspective, and there might actually be a good bit of value to at least one of them, so let's jump into it. Thank you so much for everybody for being here. Go ahead, click that like button and subscribe, and then click the bell icon if you want to stay notified to the channel to be notified when new videos are posted. But yes, today we are going to be looking at Secret Lair Poker Face. Now, this one was actually posted on Twitter/X. We haven't seen official glam shots of it yet, like when Wizards posted on the site. But we do know that all the Secret Lairs in the Super Drop are going to be going live on May 13th. We talked about the Hatsune Miku one, which is going to be part of it. And then, of course, this one is going to be part of it too. And there are more. I'm hoping we'll get some more details on them. And if they warrant video coverage, I will certainly make one. But today we want to talk about whether or not it's going to be worth it to get this Secret Lair, looking at the cards that are inside. And, of course, taking into consideration the art and all of the other things that go along with it. And for the first time, as I'm starting to do this series, I'm going to kind of give each reprint a grade and then give the overall Secret Lair a grade, taking a few things into consideration. So that's where we're at. We're going to take a look at Poker Face, starting now. Well, the first card we've got in the Secret Lair is Professional Facebreaker, which is actually worth more than the entirety of the Hatsune Miku Secret Lair combined if we're just judging it on reprints, which I just think is funny. Yes, I'm aware that because it's a limited edition item of a very popular character, it's more than likely going to be worth quite a bit. But still, I just think it's interesting to see what goes into the reprint choices. But we'll notice right off the bat, the face card aesthetic for these is so cool. So it's meant to obviously look like a playing card. And so a lot of the things they chose, I think, are going to be sort of playing into that theme in one way or another. Professional Facebreaker is a really good card from Streets of New Capenna. And it's about $10, give or take, at the time of this. But I think the exact values were $8 for the regular and $8.50 for the foil at the cheapest. So we'll use those values officially for this. A really good inclusion for a card that sees a lot of play in multiple formats. Not a bad way to start things off. I think this is a solid B+ inclusion, and honestly, if you had a Secret Lair that had, 5 cards all around this value, that would be really good too. But we'll have to, kind of take what we can get in terms of what Wizards is willing to give us. But I think this is a solid start. Next one up is Rankle, Master of Pranks. Now, you've probably heard of this card if you haven't been living under a rock. It is very popular, especially in Commander, but also in other formats. Originally printed in Throne of Eldraine, it got a reprint in Commander Masters. It's not super expensive from a value perspective, simply because of the amount of times it's been reprinted at this point, but it is a desired card, which I do think may do something to help its value. Right now, it's about maybe a quarter, give or take, for a non-foil version, and then $2, maybe $1.50. $52 for a foil version. So again, we're not talking about a high premium, but we are talking about a popular card, which could certainly go a long way towards helping its value. The card looks awesome, and it's just nice to see this like artistic take on Rankle. And for some reason, he just feels like he fits the poker card. I don't know why. But overall, this is a decent inclusion. I'm being a little bit more forgiving towards it because I think some of the other cards in here are of better value. I'll give it a grade of B, and I think that's pretty solid. Next one up is AIS the Troublemaker. Now, unfortunately, this one is definitely not the greatest reprint, but it does see some play, and it also fits quite thematically with Professional Facebreaker, so I do understand the inclusion. Like I said in this Hatsune Miku video, not every card has to be some super expensive reprint. It would just be good to make the Secret Lair a little more incentivized for people to buy, in my opinion, considering it doesn't cost any extra to print any other cards. But again, reprint video, topic for another day. Something I've been working on for quite a while, actually, so I don't want to get too much into that. We'll save it for later. This card's value, however, is about 25 cents, 50 cents-ish for a non-foil version, and around the same for a foil version. So we're talking about a card that's quite literally, bottom of the barrel, nothing wild, but decent enough. It does thematically fit. It might end up actually being the most expensive version of the card when all is said and done, simply because of the Secret Lair and the artwork and all of that. I'm going to give this one a grade of a C. It doesn't do anything for me, but I can understand the appeal, and like I said, not every card is going to hit a home run. I don't think that's too bad. Next up is Goblin King. Now, this may be the first real big hitter, particularly on the foil side. This card has a good number of prints in a lot of older sets, the older edition sets. It's been printed, I think, at least 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. I believe it may have also been printed somewhat more recently as a Judge promo, but it is an extremely good card that is one of the best cards goblins have access to, you know, giving things Mountain Walk and the amount of power boost that it has. So it's a great card, very, very playable card, and it's around $4.50, give or take, for the cheapest copy, which is all right, nothing bad, but where the foil shines is kind of where this card makes up for a lot of value. So the cheapest version of this card in a foil is approximately $50. Now, there are some that go as high as like $150 to $200, and some, you know, on the older editions that go even higher than that. Obviously, in those sets, foils were relatively new and much, much harder to pull. So this card in a foil costs quite a bit no matter what, which I think is going to be a good sign for the foil value of the Secret Lair. I mean, the card itself is around $50 at the cheapest for a foil, and the Secret Lair foil version is going to cost $40. So you can kind of just see where this would, in theory, pay for itself if we're just basing it on value. And just the artwork is fantastic. Nothing to say negatively about this inclusion. I think it's a great choice. I'm going to give it a grade of an A. And yeah, you love to see it. It's a great inclusion. Alright, and the final card in the Secret Lair is Coffin Queen, which is actually a very surprising reprint. I was not familiar with this card's existence prior to researching for this video. Apparently, it's only been printed once, and that was in Tempest, so we're going back quite a while. It's a pretty darn good card, and it might be my favorite artwork of the 5. I just think they did a really good job of capturing the sort of spooky vibes while also staying true to the rest of the other Secret Lair cards. This is a really solid card. It's about $11, give or take, at the cheapest for a non-foil version, and because it was only in Tempest and nothing else, it currently does not have a foil version, which is very intriguing from a value perspective, because the Secret Lair will be the only way to get one in foil, and if you're playing this and want to maybe bling out your deck or what have you, this is going to be the only way to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see what the value of the foil ends up being once the Secret Lair releases, because it's not often that we get cards that have no foil variants in these Secret Lairs, and so when they do, sometimes they will be, you know, significantly higher than any other cheaper copies. Other times it doesn't have as much of an impact. I think it depends on the card's availability, playability, what have you. But this is another really good card. It wasn't really on anyone's radar, but it fits and it seems really cool. So I'm going to give this one a grade of A-. I think in terms of value, it's solid. I don't know what the overall value is going to look like for the foil, like I said, but I think the card itself is a good inclusion and kind of rounds out a nice cast of characters for this overall Secret Lair. Now, going into the overview, kind of taking a quick recap of these, we've got the foil version and the non-foil version. For the Secret Lairs, the non-foil version is usually going to be $29.99, so that's the price point. The total value of these 5 cards in non-foil at the cheapest is about $24, so not exactly making money there, but not exactly the biggest differential either. It's $5 off, and you are certainly getting some really cool cards. However, the foil version, approximately $39.99 for most of them to buy retail, and this one is $60.25 at the cheapest if you take the value of the cards. That's not factoring in Coffin Queen because, again, she doesn't have one, so 4 out of the 5 cards more than make your money back, in theory. I have to say that's pretty good. Would I recommend buying this? It again comes down to your personal preference. I think if you are going to buy one of the two, the foil version is absolutely the way to go. It will probably be the one that holds more value in the long run, assuming the cards don't have warping issues. And I think you probably get a decent return on your investment for that. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys. This Secret Lair is surprisingly solid on all fronts, and I'm optimistic that the rest of them may be like that. We don't know whether or not that'll actually happen, but it remains to be seen. We'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments if you guys think this one's going to be good. Are you planning on buying it? And if you don't like it, what don't you like about it? What's kind of turning you off on it? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.